Okay, I'm going to talk now about how many jobs I had throughout my life. My first job when I got out of college was with Sunstrand Aviation. Worked for them for about 5 years. And then I wanted more direct sailing, so I went to Barbara Coleman Company. I stayed with Barbara Coleman Company, and they gave me a territory. I covered Peoria, Illinois, and was doing quite well there. I had quite a few good customers in Pekin and some on the eastern border, and of course, I kept they kept reducing my territory. I lost all of my Pekin area over to Chicago, and then I lost Rock Island. They took over some of my stuff on the east of Peoria, and my territory was getting smaller and smaller. So I could see in the wall I would be making less money. So I tried to work a deal, and they said I would be an assistant sales manager in Rockford. That was their title they were going to give me. They asked me how much I wanted for the job, and I told them. And because I told them I think I had 5 kids at the time. I said, this is the money I need. They said no problem. Then all of a sudden they come back to me and says, well, we can't give you what you wanted, but we'll take you back as the assistant sales manager for quite less than what I originally asked for. And they thought I would probably jump on it, but I didn't. I figured, heck with that. So I interviewed with Caterpillar. Caterpillar says, yeah, we got an opening in Los Angeles. So I says, fine, I'll take it. So that's how we got to move to California. Caterpillar send us out. I bought the house here, and that's how we got into California. Now, what had happened then is Caterpillar built a large office complex in downtown Peoria, and I went and looked at it. It was it's a beautiful office building, and they showed me my office, and I had a neat office. It was quite a sizable office. It was on the the 5th floor or something, overlooking the Illinois River. It was really a nice office. But then I started thinking I would have to now travel the West Coast from Peoria. So to do that, I'd have to either fly from Peoria to Chicago, and then Chicago to the West Coast, or Peoria to St. Louis, and then out to the West Coast. And I'd be spending more and more time in the air, and I'd be away from home. So I thought about what Caterpillar had offered, etc. And your mother just never liked Peoria for some reason. I don't know why, but she never liked Peoria. She really liked California, where we're living. So they told me I had to move back to, this was in February. They said the office complex will be done this coming summer. We want you back in Peoria on September 1st. So, holy moly. So, I talked to Mother, and I decided I would start looking for a job here on the West Coast. Well, at that time, I forget what year it was, but there was a big layoff in aerospace. There was a lot of guys looking for work. So I was looking all around and spotted this small company in Santa Ana called Griswold Controls. So I said, well, I knew Controls, so I went and interviewed them. And lo and behold, all the guys that were looking for, and all the I mean, he had a stack of eight inches high of resumes, and I got the job. And I stayed with Griswold for quite a bit. For quite a bit of time, I was making pretty good money, and then they start fooling around with my commission schedules, etc., etc., and didn't like that. And I told them that I was going to leave if they they kept going to cut my commissions down, and I says I can't take a cut on my commissions anymore. Well, of course, their thing was I was making too much money. So anyway, I didn't know what to do. And Barbara Coleman came after me, and he says, "Listen, we got an office in San Diego that isn't making money." And I told him I didn't want to live in San Diego. I liked it where we were. And they said, "Well, here's the thing. If you can go into San Diego and start making them a profitable branch, we'll give you the branch in for the Los Angeles area. This is the one I wanted. The one I wanted was in LA. So I took it. Well, lo and behold, the first year I made profit. I made a good profit. They said, well, this could be a fluke. And I told them, I said, no, I said that this can be a profitable area. They didn't believe me. But they says, you have to spend at least one more year in San Diego. And they wanted me to train a new salesman that they just had. They said they would they would rent us an apartment in San Diego and for a year and see how it worked out. Well, I says okay, because I really wanted the LA area, the LA branch. So I went. I would spend another year. So now I was 2 years in San Diego, back and forth and all that stuff. Well, to make a long story short, I didn't get the job in Los Angeles. There was a big switch up. They brought a guy in from, I don't know, Indiana, some small town in Indiana to take over the branch. And of course, it was a big branch at the time, a chance of making big money, and so they moved this guy in. And I worked for him for about 4 months, and I could see we weren't going to make any money in the branch. We were losing people, and they were moving out. So this one guy went to a company called Norman is Right, and he says they are really a good company, and you can make some good money. So I went and interviewed them, and lo and behold, they offered me more money and a better commission system than I had at Barbara Coleman. So of course, with more money and this, I left. So I went with Norman is Right, and they did really well with them. And then lo and behold, a contractor who I was calling on asked me if I would like to work with them as part of the contract, as becoming a contractor. So I was working with Norman is Right, had a lot of good rapport with this company. It was called United Air Conditioning. They were the second largest heating and air conditioning company in Los Angeles. So I said, sure. They paid me well. I had good benefits. I was getting a lot of good bonuses, and everything was going really, really slick there. There was two owners that had the company, and they came up and said, "We are going to close the business up. We don't want to do it anymore." These two older gentlemen that ran the company. Well, there's a young guy and us and another fella. We went and made him an offer. We says, we'll buy the business for $1,000,000. We'll pay each one of you guys $20,000 a year for the next 5 years. That would be like 40,000. No, wait, yeah, 40,000 times. No, 10 years. It was anyway. It came to $1,000,000, and that's all they had to do was turn the business over to us, and it would be like a retirement for them because they were two old guys. We'd send them 20,000 a year every year for the next. I think it was the next 10 years. I forgot now exactly how we had it. I had the paperwork and I threw it away. But they said no, they're gonna just close up the business. So that's what they did. They locked it up, closed up the business, and left. So here I was, without a job, and I had to do something quick. So there was a company called Circulating Air. I went and talked to them and said, for a certain price, X number of dollars, I would set up a computer estimating system for them in their company. And I would do it in 1 year. And I would also sign all of their drawings because I had a PE at the time, and I would sign all of their drawings that the other guys made up. And they said sure, so I got pretty good money for them. I set up a system for them for estimating. I signed several. They carried airs and emission insurance, etc. So I didn't have to do that. So I signed several projects for them, reviewed them, and signed them, and everything was going well. And then I heard of this company called Continental Conditioning. It was a Jewish company, and I said, so I'm going to go work for them. But before I did that, I'm going to have a contract written up so I don't get screwed again. Because when I left Norman S. Wright, they owed me about $7,000, and I ended up getting about $2,000, so I didn't want to have that happen again. So I got a contract. I brought it in. They read it, had their attorneys look at it, and they signed it. So I went to work for them, and everything was going really smooth and everything. And then all of a sudden, I wasn't the money wasn't coming in like it should. So I went and I talked, and I found out that I got a percentage of the job, plus I got a third of whatever profit made on that job. And I had about $300,000 in profit on the jobs I had, and all of a sudden there was no $300,000 on the profit picture anymore. Talked to the gal, and she says, well, there's only $100,000 now in profit. I said, well, then it can't be. I said, my figures show, because I kept pretty good figures, that they owed me $300,000. So I went down and didn't realize that they had charged against my jobs 2 Mercedes-Benz at $100,000 apiece, and that knocked the profit that I had in my jobs down to only $100,000. So I went and I confronted the 2 owners, and they said, no, and, this is what, and they says, we'll give you a complete accounting when the job's through and all this crap. And I was so pissed off. I said, no. And ACR at the time, I knew a couple of guys down there, and they said they're looking for someone to handle the sales in Orange County, Riverside, and San Diego. And I says, well, I'll give that a try. So I went and I talked to he was another Jew, Erwin Sulliway, and he said, I'll take care of what it's going to take. And I told him, he says, okay, he gave me a good base salary. He says, and plus we'll give you bonuses. He says, you'll get 3 bonuses a year. One in September, which is the Jewish New Year. One in Christmas, which is, I don't know what they call that again, the Jewish. It's not Christmas. It's, I'm forgetting it, Hanukkah. And one in Hanukkah, and then one in June. I don't know what they call that. Something else. So anyway, he said I'd get 4 bonuses a year. So the stock at that time when I went to work for it was worth about almost $8, $7.75 or something like that. So I went to work for them, and I was doing well. I was getting my bonuses. I was getting my commissions, and things were really looking up. Well, lo and behold, they went and Irwin Sellaway wanted to sell the company. He was getting up in age and wanted to sell it. So this one guy came in. His name was Bill Deneen. He was a real bugger. I didn't like him at all, and he hated me because I was making good money. They had tried cutting my territory. They brought in a guy to do L.A. Because I used to do L.A. too. They brought a guy in to do L.A. They brought another guy in to do San Diego. They brought a guy in to do Riverside area. So I just had Orange County, which was fine. That's all I wanted. Had a good rapport with the coal company, and I was pulling in pretty good, many good jobs for them. So lo and behold, one day it was, I came into work, and it was in February. The boss says, well, business has slowed down, and I said, yeah. I said, but I had done $9 million from the Jewish year, which is in September until February. I did $9 million. The company only did $12 million, so that means the other 1, 2, 3 guys did the other $3 million. But it was that Bill Deneen. He hated me, and he knew I was going to make a lot more money because I had $9 million. So they turned around and fired me. That was the biggest blow I ever had in my life. My self-esteem was 0. I was 55 years old. I was really, I didn't know which end it was up. I didn't know how to handle that. It was pretty difficult. But no, lo and behold, the company stock had gone up to $22 a share. So I sold that, and I bought mutual funds with it. And then I went, a little side note, that following September, the company's stock went up another $2 to 24. So the guy says, oh, you lost money by opting out. But I says, I wasn't around. I said, you could have lost money. And I was, I didn't want. Well, lo and behold, 5 years later, the company was out of business. This Bill Deneen just didn't know how to manage, and he didn't know anything. He brought his buddy in, who was supposed to be the best salesman in the business. And this guy, the only thing he knew was he picked up all the business in town. He would just lowball everything. And lo and behold, after a while, you can't do it. You start losing money, and they start losing big bucks. So they started changing the there, I had to turn on the light because it's getting darker and darker. So anyway, they start losing money. So then I went with another company, and I forget what they call that, Commerce Systems or something like that. And I just followed my old company around and was picking up the business. They couldn't finish the job, and they wouldn't do it. And I knew the guys. I come to, they were my old customers, especially the ones in Orange County. And bingo, I was picking up their business. And I liked that company. We were doing well. But the guy goes out and buys a big plant in Palmdale. Now, from our house to Palmdale, it'd be about a 2-hour drive every day. 2 hours there, that's 4 hours. Plus I had to make my calls, and it was just too far. So I left them, and after, it was about 5 years I was with them. And then I left them, and this Terra Conditioning, it was the only non-union company I worked for. They said, hey, we want to make you our LA branch manager, and you cover LA for me. So I did. So I started picking up work. I got work at UCLA. I got work at a couple of hospitals, St. John's and that. And we're really starting to develop the Los Angeles area. Well, would you believe it that the owner of the place, he was Russian, I believe. He I don't know if he was Jewish or not, but anyway, he came home one day early and he found his wife screwing her boyfriend. He gets a gun and he shoots them both. He kills the boyfriend, but he didn't kill his wife. So now he has to go to court and fight it. Well, he started tearing down the business because he needed money for lawyers and all this stuff. So it started dropping lower and lower and lower and lower. And at that time, I got to know a general contractor, PCL, very well. And he says, hey, Bill, would you like to, we're doing a hospital in Riverside. He says, would you like to do the project manager on the mechanical, plumbing, and electrical? He said, with your background, you could do that. So I says, okay. So I went to work for him, making pretty good money. They were paying me really well, almost 6 figures, and at that time it was pretty good. So I was starting to work for them about a year, almost 2 years, and there was probably another 5 years of work left on that project. So it was going quite well. Well, they had an old-time employee who did the same thing I did, who had just finished on the job, and they wanted to hire him. So we sat down, and they told me, you're almost 62. I think I was 62 at the time. They said, would you like to retire? I says, well, I thought of it. So they gave me a little incentive, and so I retired. And at that time, I started WJS Consultants, and that worked out pretty well. I did worked for several contractors. I did work for several owners, Hoag Hospital, UCLA, quite a few attorneys, did a lot of attorney work. And for the next 10 years, that's what I called myself, was WJS Consultants. And it did well. When I hit 72, I said, that's it. I don't know how long I'm going to have to live anymore. I don't want to be stressful and have to do another job. UCLA wanted me to do a job, and I told them no. I just didn't want the stress anymore. And I was 72, so that was 10 years ago. And I said, I may be dead tomorrow, but I'm going to retire, and that's what I did. So that's essentially my work history. I mean, it was a long one, But like I said, whoever paid me more got me. That's it. Mom's calling.